We're back. Episode 2. Oh, cute. So this week is all about Georgie's wedding. The wedding of the year.
Ooh,
The
no
regrets.
Yeah.
What went wrong. The drama. Yes.
So much drama.
Even a wedding planner wedding has drama.
And I want to know from you as a guest, like, what was good? What was worth it?
Yeah. And
what was worth my sleepless nights?
I'm joking. Anyway, let's get into
Let's
it.
go.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding and welcome
The Unfiltered Bride podcast. Tips from the top table and beyond.
so you know it's going to be juicy. So, Georgie's wedding.
I am married. It's official.
So what's your intro now?
I've gone for 2022 bride.
Okay.
Because I wanted to, I'm still a bride. It wasn't that long
Georgie's
ago.
trying to milk this.
I will milk this until the day I die.
So for those who don't know, Georgie is a TikTok sensation. And her intro is...
Wedding planner, coordinator, and bride of 2022. And then I got married and was like, and Brian was like, you can still keep doing it. And I was like, yeah, forever. Literally, I've got so much content now from my wedding alone that it will go on forever.
So the engagement was pretty big. Everybody knew she was engaged.
I waited 10 and a half years for that proposal.
Yeah, 10 and a half years is quite long.
That's too long.
How long have you guys been waiting to get married?
We did exactly 2 year engagement.
Okay.
So
Nice.
we knew we'd want to get married on New Year's Eve. So we got engaged on New Year's Eve, and then literally it was like 1 year is too soon. 2 year engagement. But we were together 10 and a half years. 1 child, 2 houses, 2 cats.
So Brian started his speech was welcome to Georgie's wedding because it was Georgie's
That
wedding.
was amazing.
Yeah.
And literally I think when a clap goes on for too long,
Yeah.
and his big head was like,
he was like, oh yeah.
I might as well sit down now. But
wedding, planning a wedding, getting engaged. How exciting. It was what you waited for. You've been planning this for the last 10 years.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
How was the planning experience?
Horrendous.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
What you thought you'd wanted, did you have?
No,
Okay.
even especially the styling.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
thought the styling
did a
was
proper
a bit
360.
different.
Like I think it's because it's not. I think it's harder for somebody that works in the industry because you go to so many weddings, and every time I go to a wedding, I'm like, I like that, or I don't like that. That doesn't. Or sometimes if somebody done it, I felt there was so much pressure on me to not have anything that anybody had ever done before, which was stupid. Like that's the pressure I felt.
So there was pressure on me.
There was pressure mainly on the decor, to be honest. Like I didn't want it to look like it could have been any other wedding.
Yeah.
Which again, it's no thing against other people's weddings, but there was so much for me to make sure that it was perfect.
She had a point to prove. I'm sorry.
I
She
did have a
was
point to
telling
prove.
everyone it's the wedding of the year. It was New Year's Eve 2022. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
I think that was
hype.
It was a proper hype.
She
but
hyped it up, but she delivered.
The date was one of the most important things for us.
Okay, so let's talk New Year's Eve weddings. For me, New Year's Eve has never been a really important day for me. I've never really had a great day.
Yeah.
Well, I've had good New Year's Eve, but it's never been like
it's a day. Nobody has any plans and everyone's up for it.
And it's all really hyped up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for me, what I would love, like, I always said I'd get married on New Year's Eve. Obviously can't now.
You can.
No.
I give you permission. On this, you hear me right now. I give you permission to get married on New Year's Eve. You just have to shout me out and say happy 10-year anniversary.
But it will be about Georgie. No one will have plans. Everyone's off work. Essentially, most people are off work. So
no one can leave before 12.
No one can leave before 12.
Most people can't leave before 12.
Most people can't leave before 12. And it's a great day. It's a celebration. And what I found was one of the main parts of the day that we will go into was that you had the wedding day, and then it got to like 11ish where it wasn't a lull, but everyone had a few drinks.
Yeah.
And normally at a wedding, that's when people
the
start
die
to
down
leave.
time.
But it was like an hour to go, and it was just like hyped up again.
Yeah.
And then we went out to sparklers, and I was like, ooh, ooh,
glitter. We
had like a station. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about that because we will get into that.
Yeah.
So talk me through the wedding planning process, how you found it, what you do differently, what advice you'd give, and what went really, really well.
Okay, so straight up, half the planning was kind of done straight away because there were suppliers that I was always going to have.
Yeah.
You knew that the second I got engaged, there wasn't a conversation about what styling company will we use. It was Etiquette Events will be styling it.
Imagine
Pat will be photographing it.
Awkward if you didn't choose us.
Did look at a few others, shopped around a bit, but like because I'd met
these
people, I came back. I'd met these people, I'd worked with these people.
Trust them.
I trust them. They're friends.
Yeah.
Like some of it was just very obvious. I think 90% of my suppliers were locked in the day after.
10 years ago.
Literally, I like the venue. I remember I rang her on New Year's Eve when we just got engaged, and I was like, "Oh, what's in the diary for New Year's Eve 22?" And she was like, "I don't know." And I was like, my fucking wedding. So like it was, a lot of it was just done. So I think that lured me into a false sense of security straight off, because when people were asking me a year and a half before the wedding, are you all sorted? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you were pretty confident when I asked you.
Yeah,
and I was like,
was.
cool, yeah.
I was. And then I had a really busy year. I had a really busy 2022. And free time anyway was, you need wedmin days.
Yeah, there's so much admin when
honestly
planning a wedding.
So much admin, and even more admin than I thought, because obviously some of the stuff when I plan with other people, I don't get involved in
guest lists.
And I don't know the people. I can't help with any of that. There's no point in me trying to put accommodation together with blah blah blah. Whereas we had to do all of that, and there's some
the
of
stuff that she doesn't like to do. She had to do.
I had to do,
and it can't be done sat on the sofa in evenings.
No.
It's got to be.
You need a full on.
Yeah.
Like, we find it really helpful to sit down and try and smash out as much. It doesn't actually take that long to plan a wedding. You'll hear me say it. This will get cut down to a TikTok clip. It does not take very long to plan a wedding. If you sat down for one entire day and sorted everything out, you could smash out a lot. But you don't normally get that day. You're waiting for people to reply. Guests are the worst part of wedding planning. It is so hard to...
You heard it here first.
Honestly, guests are horrendous. They don't RSVP.
I was a guest and I didn't RSVP.
Did you in the end? Did I make you?
I think you RSVP for
I
me.
did RSVP for. But again, a lot of it was because it's not people trying to be horrible, but like I know you're coming, so for you, you're like, well, I don't need to RSVP but
that is a wedding ick of mine. Like, for example, Jack's brother and girlfriend get married, fiance get married, and he was like, we don't need to RSVP, and I was like, you do.
It goes on to
like a spreadsheet. Yeah, and I was like, he was like, I'm the best man, I'm coming, and I was like, no, we have to reply. Like, send the invitation.
And we
back.
asked extra questions within it that was like,
what
do you want to drink,
yeah.
stuff like that. So when people and transport. It's one of the, when there's something that just turns my brain off, I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, there's certain things that you're like, not for me.
It's not fun, it's expensive, I'm not interested, and therefore I'll leave it until the very last minute. And my God, I left it till the very last minute.
You did.
But again, it was because I was waiting as well on people to be like, not only did we have to say, are you coming, but are you going to drink? Are you going to stay?
What time do you want to leave?
What time are you going to leave? Like, we had to pick for people what time they were leaving. So we had to go through the list.
I was the latest on the list.
You were late. And it was hard because then you're like, I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm paying for your taxi. You go where you go. Yeah.
If I was getting paid for it, I just went where I did what I was told, basically.
That is my expectation of a guest on a wedding.
There's ways to be good guests and bad guests. Yeah. And you don't take
RSVP. Yeah. RSVP. Say just say yes. I don't want to hear from you again.
Opinion.
Yeah, no opinion.
Don't care about your dietaries really, unless it's really allergic. If you don't like something, I don't really care.
If you're vegan,
all
you can't
jokes aside, tell your dietaries.
Yeah. But like, all you need from a guest is to be excited for you, to say yes, I'm coming. I cannot wait.
Don't wear white.
If you wear white, I think people would know not to even pretend to wear white to my wedding. But like, just come, have a nice time. And don't add extra dramas to the people that have already got it coming from every angle.
Okay, let me ask you this. Were all your guests good guests?
No.
Do a percentage of good guests, bad guests.
90% good.
So 10% is still quite a lot.
10%. We didn't have a huge amount of people. But again, some of the guests, it wasn't even their fault. Like, Brian's sister lives in Australia. She was trying to get a passport and it just wasn't being sent through. Like, there's a point when she kind of had to go, I can't just hope it comes in time. Because for us, we were like, we'll keep her on the table plan. We'll keep it going. And it wasn't her fault that she couldn't.
But really?
Like, yeah, it just came. It was maybe
last minute. Getting married for
2 years.
2 years. You surely get a passport.
It was for a daughter. There was.
Sorry, Brian's sister. Not trying to show shade.
But the thing that we had to remember is that I know that she was desperate to be there.
Yeah,
it's not like she didn't want to come.
Yeah.
It was the.
Or didn't she?
Dun, dun, dun. Beefy beef. But like, I know that people's intentions were in a good place. But weddings heighten everything. So anything that would.
Why do you think that is?
I tell you why that is. I know why that is. Because you have got two families and all that's happening is there's comparisons between. So,
I didn't even think of it like that.
So,
juicy.
One might be paying more money towards it. You might have like one side of the family who you've got 50 guests and the other person's got 10. You've got hopefully 2 mums that are then comparing themselves to each other.
Who's got the better outfit?
Who's helping more? Who's paying more? Who's like, the reason it gets so heightened is because normally in life you don't really compare things. But when you get close to the wedding, you're like, well, you want your uncle to do a reading. Oh my God, but what about my partner's uncle? He's not doing anything now. Will he care? Like, there's so much.
It's actually not even so much the bride and groom or groom and groom, bride and bride. The couple that actually care about this is the mum or the dad.
And mum will go, oh, you're having her cousins. What about our cousins? And I'm like, but that's to answer the question, that's why things get so heightened, because there's so many opinions and there's so many sides.
And there's like a little bit of competition, isn't there?
So much competition. Of course there is. Yeah. And
even though you don't realise it.
Some families haven't even met.
But like half the time you're like, why are you even piping up? You don't normally have an opinion on my life.
Yes. You'd be surprised at the amount of couples that I speak to that they're like, we see her once every 6 months and now suddenly she wants to know every detail about the wedding. Or you get the opposite, which is equally as hard, and people don't ask you anything. And it's like, all I want to do is talk about my wedding.
Please someone talk to me.
Please someone say the word wedding and I can go blah, 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 wedding. But
okay, bring it back then.
Yeah.
So talking about the guest list essentially.
Yeah.
How did you find your guest list? Because you didn't have a massive wedding.
No.
How did you cut people off? Did you have a specific rule? Like if I wouldn't invite them for dinner, then they wouldn't come. I think that's a great rule, by the way.
That is a good rule. We also sort of did if we haven't seen them in the last 2 years, like family's a bit different.
2 years is quite
because family is
I
different.
suppose Brian's family live far away.
Yeah, they're all over the world. Like if it's so difficult, because actually we started worrying that our wedding was too small, and then we were like, shit, have we got no mates?
That's how I got the invite.
Yeah. We had to start scraping the barrel and be like, oh, Beth can come. But I definitely started to worry about that, of like, oh my God, because I do some weddings where there's 250 people.
Yeah.
I don't know 250 people that I could pay to come to my wedding. Like, we're just not, we're quite small, close friends people. And actually our wedding was massively friends more than it was family.
I think it was a really nice number though. It
was
felt really intimate, really nice.
We had 55 people.
If you added like 4 or 5 tables on, then I would have felt, again,
very different.
I felt as a guest that I got to speak to pretty much everybody at your wedding, got to know their story, how they knew you, or if I didn't know them already. So I felt that everyone's face was familiar. Yeah. So by the time you've had a few drinks, you're like, oh, I've seen you all day. I've been with you all day. Let's have a dance.
Yeah. That's good, because we definitely worried about the numbers, and then we started to be like, should we invite? Because I also am a pro evening guest person. Some people are like, no, if you don't like them enough to come to the day. I disagree with that personally.
That's why I disagree.
See, but to me, there's some people.
Sorry, if I am only allowed to the evening, don't invite me.
Yeah, but it depends on the so because our wedding was quite intimate in the day. Yeah, but our wedding was intimate in the day. The people that came in the evening probably wouldn't have enjoyed the day.
No, I don't want to come for a bacon bap. I'm sorry, I'd rather sit at home in my
bacon baps or not. Like,
no, but that's I'm talking about the standard wedding.
But we made sure that if you were coming to the evening, it was a fucking party.
New Year's Eve.
Yes. So I do think that evening guests come with an energy. Like, they come with a bit pump it in. Like, I would say that inviting like mates or work colleagues or people that are going to be fun. Like, if you would like to see them on a night out, that's an evening guest kind of person. Nice. So I also think it's a great card to have. It's a great thing to be able to say, yeah, of course you can come to the evening. It doesn't cost a lot to add a guest to the evening of a wedding, depending on the wedding. But
okay, then. So what was your rule? So the 2-year rule, if we haven't seen the last 2-year rule.
And
okay, let me ask you this. Was there anybody at the wedding that you didn't want there, but you felt you had to invite? You can't say me.
No, actually. As things turned out, no.
You're really happy with
every single person that was at that wedding. Even like some of the people were partners of my friends and stuff like that. Like even Jack. But hold on, I'm going somewhere nicely with
Jack, you weren't going to make the cut, mate.
No, but like even those people we were so close to that I would not have changed any single person at that wedding. There was not one person at that wedding that I was worried about that, because there were some people that we had to invite because of who they were, and I think that's they weren't
a tough conversation people have is with couples of your friends. But I think as you grow older, if you're in a couple and your friends haven't met your partner, then like I think that we do stuff all together.
Like me and Brian
really
are quite
see
couple
you on your own.
And Brian's here, by the way.
I always would like Brian with me.
I miss Jack. But to me, I think, and again, it does depend on people's relationships. Me and Brian have been together a very long time. Yeah. Everybody in that room had heard of each other, knew each other. Like, our families have met. There wasn't anybody that
Oh yeah, like everyone was, I've heard so much about you, and I'm like, oh my god, I've heard so much about you. I'm like, oh my god, you're so much nicer than what Georgie said about you.
That's the benefit of having smaller numbers.
I think that was
it can be more intimate.
One thing I took from it was, I think again, Jack was like, I don't know anyone there. Obviously, he knew you, Brian, met some of your friends before, like Pat and some of the suppliers, but a lot of people there didn't know everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but it didn't feel awkward because it was really intimate and.
Yeah, and
you had to talk to each other.
I think because we made sure there were things to do, like for example, beer pong.
Yeah.
I think there should be a beer pong at 80% of weddings, like because you
and
don't even know someone.
Even like a grazing table, it's like you have that really awkward conversation over grazing. Oh,
can I have that sausage?
That bread looks nice, doesn't it? It sounds really weird, but doing the sociable kind of thing, you just break the ice a little bit.
And our magician did that too. Yeah, our magician, Rich, Gloucester magician, he makes people group together, and then you instantly have something to talk about. Yeah. You don't need to know the person next to you to go, fuck me, that was a cool trick. Yeah. Like that's the bit that
which they were.
Yeah, they were. But that's the bit that breaks the ice. Like they're the things you need. You need to be able to break the ice between people, or just have people that, like, I knew that all of our guests would get on with each other. I mean, you
wouldn't be friends with them.
No, and that's
you're friends so much more, and then you've got your family. You can't be family, but
90% of our guests were very well behaved. Everybody on the wedding was very well behaved, so
okay,
it was good.
So what we want to know is she going to reveal why the 10% weren't so great, or is that no comment?
I think sometimes people forget how. I think people sometimes forget how far in advance you have to know things as a bride to tell suppliers. You have to pay for catering at least a month before. Correct. So when people start not coming 2 weeks before, that's annoying.
But surely at a month before you'd know you're going to a wedding, right? I get it. 2 years before you asked me, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing on that day. New Year's Eve, I'm not doing anything anyway. So lucky for you, I was available.
Thank God.
But I think as a guest, people don't realise that. So if you are a guest of a wedding and you're listening, and don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. But I'm trying to get it from other people's point of view, because they're thinking, well, it doesn't matter if I change this, like it's not really a big deal. But they don't realise the knock-on effect that all of those things do.
But also, it's like the ag and the stress. A couple of weeks before the wedding, you just don't need, like, you've got things that I need to prep everything. What am I bringing? I need to get this to the venue. I need to sort this. Where's my dress? Have I got a steamer?
For us, like, people, we were quite lucky that our tables were like 10s. So, but if 2 more people said they were coming, I have to change the entire table plan, because there would have been 2 people sat on the table by themselves. So the whole thing would change. So, like, even to you would be saying to me, how many centerpieces do you need? And I'm like, maybe 6, maybe 7. I don't know. Like, a month. If you're a guest, I'm going to say this to the camera. If you're a guest that's going to a wedding, do not change anything 2 months before the wedding. That's it. You can't change things anymore. And if you do, you better not tell the bride about it.
Well, yeah, we work on a 12-week notice. So we finalise. So we have to do all our logistics, van routes, staffing, planning, kit prep. If we have to order anything in. 12 weeks before that is when we lock it off. Yeah. Because you lot like to change things a week before. Yeah. Well, your guests like to change it.
And then you've got to pay for it. Like, we definitely spent money on people that didn't come, which is just annoying. I'm not angry. It's just annoying. But then there's the opposite type of people. Like, I had a supplier friend who agreed to take some plates back for me after the wedding, because she lived near the place. Her plans changed the morning of the wedding. They weren't driving, blah, blah, blah. She drove back to that venue the next day to pick up those plates to take them back, because she was not going to ask me. She didn't want to change the plan. And, like, I hugely appreciate that as a bride that has 4,000 other things to be thinking about.
Yeah, you have to have a good,
she was
good
like,
people around.
I'm just going to keep to the plan. Georgie doesn't need to know. And I didn't know until after, and I was like, thank you.
Okay, so as you've touched on suppliers, so was there any pros and cons of the suppliers? Would you change any of the suppliers? You don't have to out them, but was there any people you wish you had, or were you not sure on? Because I know you only met the caterers.
The caterers were the only company that I weren't familiar with.
And that's quite a big thing.
Food was a big thing.
Food. Risky.
It was risky.
And coming from a catering background, of course.
It was very risky. And I did... Hold on, let me finish the sentence before anybody starts freaking out. I did start to regret it because I didn't know them.
Ooh.
Until now, and I should have just trusted it. I should have trusted my gut that they were nice people, and they were. And the food was brilliant. The food was banging, and the service was great. I just had never worked with them.
They also looked really smart as well, my ad.
They did. They smashed it, and they knew that I cared so much, and I was trying not to be a bridezilla, but I was also like they didn't know me as well either. Like, they
definitely
don't know,
a bridezilla.
They don't know the pressure.
Actually,
I'm
going to say that you actually weren't a bridezilla.
I don't think I was a bridezilla.
With me, you would just like do what you want.
Yeah, I trust
Do
you.
what you want. I trust you. And then that put all the pressure on me.
Share the pressure. But the caterers were the only company that I wasn't very familiar with, and fine. So like it worked out really well in the end, and I trusted myself that when I met them, they knew that they're talking about. They did like street foodie stuff, so they were used to that like proper food. Like I didn't want deconstructed cheesecakes that looked cute. I wanted substantial food.
Oh, the food was really good.
The food was very good.
Really, really good.
I was really happy with the food.
Okay, so no supplier regrets.
No supplier regrets. There's definitely suppliers that I wish I could have had, like, but budget didn't allow.
Okay,
like
what was that?
Cake.
Yep.
In the last episode, I said about the cake. Like a sketch artist, like a live artist. Brian also pulled the reins on things because I was going a bit too extra and ordering loads of things. Like, I would have had everything that I've ever seen at a wedding at my wedding, so I had to stop a little bit. But
yeah,
it
was like a fun fair. There was so much going on.
But I do think you can overkill it as well. So I do think we find the right level of. So like, even though I would love to live artists, I don't think you would have got time to go and see them.
Plus, as a guest, it's cool, right? Like really, really cool and intimate. But like,
that's for us.
I'd much rather
beer pong.
The New Year's Eve station where I got to get covered in glitter.
Yeah, I think we picked our suppliers and we picked our priorities well. So
yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy. Every supplier absolutely smashed it on the day. So
okay, so I'm going to touch on a subject which a lot of people worry about, and I haven't briefed you on this actually. A lot of people worry about on their wedding day.
Go on.
It begins with R. Any guesses?
No.
Rain.
Oh.
So many people worry about it raining on the wedding day, and you did have a bit of rain.
I did have a bit of rain. We lucked out hard. Whoever was looking down on that day, because it said all day, and even when I checked later on, it was supposed to rain for the entire day.
Yep.
For the whole day, total rain. So I don't think I was upset. First of all, I picked a December wedding, so I was assuming it would rain anyway.
No, you wanted snow, really.
I did. No, but I wanted a light feathering of snow, because too much snow would have stopped the lane, like people getting in. So when it came to rain, my tip for people as a wedding planner would be to make 2 plans, and you like both of the plans. You shouldn't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, plan B sucks, and I don't want this. Or even worse, to have not thought about plan B, and therefore you're going into a wedding totally blind, because you've just got to trust the venue to make a different plan for you. So
what do you think the biggest concern about rain is? On why are people so worried about it raining on the wedding day?
Some of it will be like full-on structures, is that if you're in a marquee, if it rains, you got to go in the marquee. There isn't another option. I know, and it's annoying, and that's the only thing. It's just like, it doesn't ruin the day at all. It just makes you go, oh, fuck's sake.
Like, and I actually just don't even really remember it raining.
No, I think if you've got a good venue that you've thought about rain, you were drunk and eating.
I was on the food actually.
The only thing I was sad about was, which is ironic, the only thing I was sad about is the confetti, because I really, really wanted that confetti shot, and I wanted it on the gravel.
You got it.
I know.
You got it.
I know. That's the bit that's ironic.
The decor.
Is that
that's the money shot. The money shot was the confetti. Yeah. Shout out to whoever used for confetti.
Flutter darlings.
It was
brilliant.
Amazing.
It?
Slow falling.
Yeah, I got a discount code for that. I think. I want to say it's Georgina Rose, but check on my TikTok or ask me, but there's definitely a discount code for that.
Yeah, and
but that's the thing, that's the ironic thing, that I tell couples, I'm like, if anything goes wrong, it'll make it better, and I'm like, don't believe myself. The confetti was not where I wanted it to be, and it was 50 times better. So much better.
A money shot.
Yeah, it was not fun cleaning it up 2 days later, I'll tell you that for free.
And a quick one on that note, actually, about the confetti, is booking a photographer that's got energy and hype is so important. I remember Pat going, don't be boring, make some cheers, hyped everyone up. And imagine if it was like a dead photographer and you're like, but
or you need, if you have already booked a dead photographer, book a coordinator
who will hype it up.
They will hype it up. Like, if you put me and Pat together, we're too hype. It's a great too hype. But those sort of things those moments are the moments of the day. Like, I don't remember all the bits in between.
Yeah, you don't really.
But I remember walking down that confetti line and being like, this is sick.
This is sick. Okay, fab. So with the wedding, it's just a quick run through. It was amazing. I'm not even just saying it.
Thanks.
There was so much that I loved about it.
Go on, tell me something you loved. Let's flick it back to you. What was your favorite thing?
I can't.
I
don't have a favorite thing, because there's so much I loved. My favorite moment was Isla.
Why does this kid steal all my thunder?
What was really, really important, things that stood out to me that I would, as a bridesmaid,
As a one day we'll be engaged.
As one day I will be engaged, which
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I've heard about these things. I've seen them, and it's not really excited me in some way. Sometimes, like some of the decisions you're telling me about, I'm not really too bothered about that.
Yeah.
It doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
First thing was the celebrant, Faye. Shout out to Faye. You're incredible. Most of the time ceremonies are pretty boring, not gonna lie. Your vows were incredible.
Thanks.
The whole story of you guys was really personal, and it just, there was like, everyone was so engaged. It was just, there was laughter, there was a really good bit of like romance, and just Faye brought that together really, really nicely. So that was one bit I loved. The fact that you involved Isla very much in your vows and your ceremony. So if you've got children and there's like the three of you, I think it's really important with the three, you left as the Mitchells, and I was like, I want to be a Mitchell. Let me hold your hand. I want to leave with them. That was really nice touch, and I like welled up. And then when Isla spoke, I was like, I'm gone.
So for context, Isla did a little a reading.
Oh, she's like, my mummy and daddy.
And it was a poem that so Faye came over, which is as a I'm friends with Faye as well, so I'm sure she went above and beyond for me, but she does go to couples' houses, and she likes to see their house, like see how their normal night looks and things like that. So she went up to Isla's room, and they sat, and Isla told her things about us and stuff like that. Lovely. And then she went away and wrote this poem, and then came back round, and Isla read it out to we hadn't heard it before the day. So the day I'm like trying to hear every word she's saying and take this in, but if you haven't planned your ceremony, I cannot recommend more doing the legal wedding first, and then
and if you're not bothered about it, like I'm not bothered about having a registrar or a church, because that's just not right for us. But if you are, great, you do you.
Some people don't like the thought of not being married on the day they get married, and it's each their own.
But to me, I think it's like, once that ring's on, I'd be like, cool, I'd have 2 rings.
I do have 2 rings.
I'd be like, I need 2.
But to us, like, we'll never celebrate the 16th as our wedding, and people ask me that a lot, like, oh, what day are you going to celebrate? And like, that was your wedding. This is what that was for us. That was a little intimate thing. Our wedding was our wedding. That's our anniversary. That's the proper date. It doesn't bother me that there was no legal signing on that day.
And I think people don't really understand what a celebrant is. Yeah. For example, I was like, why would I have a celebrant? Like,
it's definitely more.
It's like, I may as well just have a registrar. Yeah. But working with registrars, actually,
some are wonderful.
Some are wonderful, and some are
not.
Really
my
difficult,
friend's wedding,
really pretentious.
They called her a boy. They kept saying, so it's Danielle and Joe, and they kept saying Dan and Joe. And then at the end, she said, Dan, you may now kiss your bride. And it was like, oh,
shut
I swear
up.
And like, as a guest, nobody cared. Like, nobody. But I was like, that was her moment.
Sorry, I would be fuming.
Yeah, it was.
Jack, you may now. No, Beth, you can now kiss the groom.
Ben, you may now kiss your groom. Your bride.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. But like, and I think they don't get to know you. It's not personal, and they feel very entitled sometimes at certain venues.
They do make, I will give you that.
On the day a little bit more difficult, actually. If I'm being honest.
It's definitely
you
more
can't have
structured.
Some music that you want. It has to be all run through them.
Yeah, I think I don't want to put anybody off that's already got a registrar, because they
do the job.
But if you have the choice, I would definitely look at the option of a celebrant,
for sure.
Because
whereas I never would until I went to your wedding.
It was we made it so personal. Like, that bit to us was the soppy bit. That was the only bit of the day that was going to be a bit cute, and it was a bit cute, and it was a chance for us to actually say nice things to each other. But they still weren't actually that. But it was still funny. They still made a little bit of bants between each other. And if you know Georgie and Brian, one of my vows was to Brian, I promised to like and share your TikTok videos every day. And his was to keep making mashed potato for me. He makes a really good mashed potato. Honestly, try it.
Love it. So that was something that was really nice. I loved as well.
Because I think sometimes people just think the wedding starts after the ceremony. It's kind of like get through the ceremony bit, and then have
a drink.
Yeah, then we get into it. But I wanted that to be I wanted half an hour before the ceremony to be the start. Got a little mulled wine on arrival.
Nice.
Sit down, kick it off, leave in style. Confetti was great, and then we moved over. This is the bit you liked. We moved over, and I did something a bit controversial I didn't know canapes.
Yeah, so I'd be like, oh god, tacky. But no, it was really, really good. As a guest, you're always hungry.
As a guest, I stand by the door where I know the canapes are coming from.
Oh yeah, and it's awkward because you don't want to take like 5, but I want 5.
I do.
If you like food like me, if you eat food, and you're veggie, so I'll have all the vegetarians.
Yeah, shotgun.
So this was a really nice part, is that we had a massive grazing board. So it wasn't like a half-assed one. It was a proper grazing board. Yeah. And it meant that whilst you were having photos, like at this stage, you're hungry as a guest, right? You're hungry.
It was like probably 2:45 at this point.
And it's always that awkward time, isn't it, that you get married like between 12 and 2 essentially is the most popular wedding time. It's like, it's not lunchtime before you come, you have breakfast, and you've got to get there, you've got to get ready. And
we knew that people were travelling as well. So
we were hungry.
Yeah. And then, so basically, it was a bit of an accident. Is because when I knew I had to feed people in that bit, so I spoke to the caterers and they didn't do canapes. So I was like, right, okay, how am I'm gonna have to get some other staff to do canapes because I love canapes. And then I was thinking, why don't we, instead of having a starter, because again, I'm cheap, instead of having a starter, we make a massive starter. Basically, all the food that would have gone out as a starter went onto this massive meze board that people could just then help themselves to throughout the whole time. And did you help yourself?
I think we went up about 5 times.
Good, but that's
well,
exactly what
how
I wanted.
long was your drink reception?
Would have been an hour and 45, 2 hours.
Good time. We had the magician. Amazing.
Drinks.
Rich was amazing. Drinks. And then the grazing board again. And then you could do speeches without us all sat there starving. And we were like, no,
I don't think I ever let a
get
couple
off the
do
stage, Georgie. I'm hungry.
I always say to couples, if you're going to do speeches first, you have to have given food.
Substantial food.
Yeah, has to be. Or put like breads on the table. Like you have to do something, otherwise they won't listen. Or just do the food later. Do the speeches later.
So yeah, the grazing board was something that I would always take now and be like, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
Again, like starters, sometimes starters are a bit like, you don't really get like amazing starters either. So
yeah.
It was nice. It was relaxed. Again, and we had some great conversation over the cheese. So we got to know people a little bit better. So that was something else I loved.
And we were able to personalise that bit as well, because I made little pots for the canapes that said, like little stickers on it that said, I'm only here for the food, like little bits to be
that was me,
that was you, that was little bits to be funny and cute, and it looked beautiful, and it was just like a really nice start to this is our wedding.
And then I loved the fact that you did a speech. So I'm shouting out if you're a bride and you want to do a speech, do a bloody speech.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not one for tradition.
This wedding, like, come on.
We just thought, like, Brian was quite involved in plans, but not to the extent that I was involved in plans. And I had to be the person. He's looking at me and I was definitely there.
You're a liar,
You're
fraud.
A liar. Get out. But I had to be the person that thanked our suppliers. You're all.
Sorry, I got a shout out from Brian.
You got a shout out twice, so you should consider yourself very lucky. But there were things I wanted to say.
Yeah, good.
And actually, one of the main.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't do a speech. If I'm being honest, when you first told me, I was like, "Oh God, limelight on Georgie again."
Of course, it's my wedding day. But I also think that sometimes the groom, if it's a groom, I was marrying a groom, doesn't get as much said about them. Like the best man speech was fantastic and it was brilliant, but it won't be as nice as what I'm going to say about Brian. Whereas Brian stands up to talk about me. Like I think it was only fair that he had that bit of actually a bit cute, a bit soppy, and it was. I'm hoping that he liked it, and it was a nice moment for him as well. So like, I don't think it made them too long. Like I think 4 speeches is a.
No, I was fed. I was watered. I enjoyed it.
Good.
I was engaged. Let's say I was engaged.
So because you were in it.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, and she always left me till last on the shout outs. I was like,
it's on purpose.
I was like, is she coming? Or is it not happening? What else did I like? I loved the New Year's Eve station. Like the kids did everyone's glitter.
Yeah,
I think it was like
so
90% of the wedding party. They did. Everyone got involved,
and that was one of those things.
And
I
a
didn't
lot
plan.
of glitter on their face, and the kids just took control of it. And it was everyone just kind of went from right, we're here to party now.
Yeah. It stepped up. That's one of the things that I say to couples is you can't plan everything, and actually some of the times that you don't plan it will go really well. So we had the New Year's Eve station, and I wouldn't just say it was just for New Year, like any wedding
party
station.
Had, like, sunglasses are a must.
Yes,
if you are getting married and you don't have sunglasses for your dance floor,
add them on now.
It gives you an alter ego.
Yeah,
like I was like,
blow up microphones.
Nobody knows who I am. I'm going to dance away. I feel shielded by these sunglasses. And I was like,
and they weren't even.
Even
like
I got a shout out
pink.
from the band. Yeah. I felt like I was on another planet. Yeah, so like red, pink. I was like, what am I on?
But the bit that worked really nicely is that we had the glitter, and I just assumed people would go over and do it if they wanted to. And I had Isla, my daughter, and then my 2 nieces somehow turned it into a business. Like they could have charged people a £5 for that, and people would have done it. Yeah. But at one point, I remember walking past, and they kept making people come over, and they sat them down like this, and they had and Isla was like, I just need to clean my workstation before the next person. And I was like, half proud that I made this little entrepreneur, but half like I could, even if I'd asked them to do that, it wouldn't have worked like that. It's such a natural thing that just happened, and all I've done as a bride is put these cool things in place.
Everybody got involved, and if it wasn't the kids doing it, I can tell you now half the people would have
absolutely, because you wouldn't have been bothered. You wouldn't have gone over to the glitter station necessarily and done it, but it just worked really nicely. And I do think that is what I wanted our day to go from really nice and romantic during the ceremony.
Step up a little bit.
Cool for the drinks reception.
You cool.
Don't lie. Cool. Okay, Rich the magician was cool. Yeah. And we had cocktails and stuff, so like it was getting nicer. And then the food bit was like sit down, really intimate, like talk to each other, have fun, hammered, get smashed and dance all night. And that's what we kind of changed the room between the wedding breakfast and the evening. We moved the tables aside. We had the 360 photo booth. We had beer pong. We had the party station. And it was, when people came back into that room, it was like, oh, we're drinking now. I understand. Now it's New Year. Whereas before it was our wedding.
Yeah.
I shared my limelight a touch.
So there's 3 other bits I want to talk about, which I thoroughly enjoyed. One, the magician. I hate magicians. Ick, cringe. No, thank you.
That's
Don't
because
want them at my
you
wedding.
pictured them pulling thing out of their
rabbits from the hat. The magicians you can get now are just insane.
It's different,
like dynamo
different.
style. Like
Yeah.
I like mind manipulation. It sounds weird.
And
I
it's they've got a bit of a persona about them. It's funny.
It's a scene they create. They're on a stage in front of you basically performing. So
it's more close-up magic.
Yeah,
that's the kind of magic I think people picture. That magic on a stage is actually the close-up cool magic that you're like, how do you do that?
So now I want a magician.
Of course.
So I would ick before, but now
I've changed my mind on a magician.
Yeah,
good.
Definitely.
Good.
One of the other things I absolutely loved was the personalized messages. It felt that every single guest felt that they should be here. They were wanted. You knew, you put little comments. It was time consuming for you, but that was also really, really nice.
I'm so glad. I can't wait to see pictures of that bit, because I'm hoping, because we didn't see people open it. So for context again, we had a mirror and then it had little envelopes all the way on it with
a
message
from the Mitchells.
Message from the Mitchells, and within each envelope we had wrote a personalised note to that person, just saying something cute or funny or cool, or basically saying thank you, genuinely thank you for coming.
I nearly cried at mine.
A few people have told us they cried. Excuse me. A few people have told us that they cried just because. I think it's because, and me and Brian did it mainly because we don't say nice things all the time.
I never get a thank you from
you, liar.
Georgie.
Yes,
Brian
you do.
more so.
I'm
not
good
Georgie.
at texting it. I'm not good.
No, Brian's good at texting it for you.
I
get thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. But you know I love you. But this is my problem. In person, I'm not actually very good at being.
You're not very icky.
I'm not very icky, and I don't like it even if people do it to me.
Yeah, you get uncomfortable.
I don't like it if people say nice things. I'm like, thank you. So for us to be able to write a message that was like a genuinely thank you for coming, because I know it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of money for people. Like some of the people there came to my 27 hen do's. Like it's a lot of money and effort and time and thought that has gone in for guests coming, and we just wanted to make sure that our guests felt genuinely wanted. So for me to hear that you actually enjoyed it is quite nice for me.
Yeah, very much so. So the last thing that I thoroughly enjoyed, which I think was a Brian choice,
doubt it,
was that with our speeches we had to make our toast drink, for example, and again that was a really good icebreaker for the table, because not necessarily you always know people on the table.
I don't think many people knew people on the table.
People worry about that when planning their table. Just put activities on there to get to know each other,
something to break the ice a little bit. I think we had table talkers on the table, which was quite a good. It had like a speech game, just something so that people could.
We had a speech game. That was good.
Like just so that people didn't have to do the stuff, but it gives you something when you sit down to be like, oh, let's all read this, and like we've got something to start a conversation. But it was Brian's thought, my logistics that did the. It
worked really well. Well done, Brian.
Yeah, well done, Brian. Little mini clap. But we basically did make your own cocktail for the toast drink, but it was like a 15-minute thing. It wasn't that much effort, it wasn't that much money, but it was just how can we turn Georgie's wedding into a little bit about Brian. So
you did that exactly.
He got that bit.
So there are only 2 parts of the day that I didn't enjoy.
Ooh, I don't know if I want to hear these.
Oh,
I don't. Well, I'll be defensive because I'll answer you that you're wrong.
There was no flip-flops on the dance floor, so I had to do Brian's biggest ick and not wear my shoes, and I was trying so hard not to take my shoes off, and no one else was doing it, and I was the first person, then everyone did it.
Shall I tell you why there were no flip-flops? Well, no, there's 2 reasons why. One was because Brian literally said to me, stop buying shit.
Brian's fault.
It was Brian's fault. I literally was not allowed to buy any more stuff. And the second reason is because I didn't think about it soon enough, and it was winter and there were no flip-flops.
And that
I should have got slippers.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
it is a wedding planner. Everybody's in Primark at the moment getting the £1 ones. All our clients are.
Go on, what else didn't you like?
That you didn't give me enough attention on the wedding day.
Oh my God.
No, joking. No, there wasn't anything. I just said that there was a little lull from
I like a
food.
lull.
Yeah, but I'm a lull when I've had a food, I want a nap.
Yeah, but that's why.
So if you made me do the conga into the pub, that would have woke me up again.
But so I think couples really worry about this lull, and actually I think you need to fuel the lull.
Yeah.
So we did a coffee and donut van.
Donuts.
Yeah, she just didn't make her way around the activities.
I did have a donut and I saved one for breakfast next day.
There you go. But I think, like, for me, I normally say to couples, like,
And my
put tea
feet
and
were
coffee, cake, like, go and sit, let people
don't do tea and coffee at the table. It's my biggest ick.
Yeah,
You
I don't
might
like tea and
agree,
coffee at the
disagree,
table.
but I
No.
think it's you're there long enough, you're tired, you've eaten. Weddings are a long day. You just need that recharge.
It makes you pay for every guest if you do tea and coffee at the table, whereas if you do a station, you don't have to pay for
drink tea and
everything.
coffee,
I drink it if somebody gives it me, but I wouldn't pick it.
But no, I don't have any
No regrets for my wedding.
No regrets for the wedding.
Oh,
I
good.
think it was beautiful, well
Thanks.
executed. We were well fed, well watered. Every little detail was thought about, minus the flip flops.
I'm sorry, was your hand drawn picture of yourself on your name card not enough?
No,
Lies.
I had black feet. And Brian was going, get that girl off the dance floor. Okay, so what are your biggest regrets from your wedding?
Ooh,
Tits.
How I don't know I didn't really like how I looked.
Oh, well, that makes me really sad.
I know it makes me sad too, because I don't actually really mean it. I didn't think about my dress. My dress was lower than it was when I tried it on, because when you move around, the dress is heavy and it starts pulling down. But
you wouldn't know that in your bridal
appointment. I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't have even I wouldn't have been able to check it.
So tips for when trying on your dress: one, sit down in it.
Sit down, move around,
because
walk around.
I know brides that haven't been able to sit down.
Yeah. But I also
have a little dance in the shop.
Have a little dance in the shop, definitely.
See if the girls come out.
Yeah, and the girls, they didn't come out just for thingy. There was no issues, but it was lower cut than I would have wanted. And I don't feel very comfortable having my boobs out that much. So I was uncomfortable and felt myself uncomfortable, which then annoyed me. But I'm still happy with it. I still would have picked the same dress. I would have just maybe altered it differently. And then I should have done my fringe differently. That's my only regret.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I did my fringe. So I had my hair done, but then I did my fringe and I curled it different.
Trust the professionals, mate. Trust the professionals.
I think people try so hard to look different on their wedding. Like when it comes to hair, people are like, well, I need a bridal hairstyle. When actually I should have just had what you like. My hair was beautiful. I loved the back of my hair and all of it, but I did the fringe to try and be bridal, and I didn't need to
try and be extra.
It just wasn't. So
Brian didn't like it. I'm joking. He was like, "Where's Georgie? This is not Georgie."
But I didn't. That's a lie. I didn't not like what I looked like. But that's the only bit that I'm like, if I could go back, that's what I would do differently. But it didn't take anything away from the day.
Anything else you change, you regret?
The husband. Someone better looking.
Brian is now single.
Single and ready to mingle.
Single and ready to mingle.
No,
he can pull off a cracking wedding as well.
He can do a good wedding and a very good speech. Genuinely, genuinely the day, even though things went wrong, and I'm putting quotations on it because it didn't affect anything at all.
Okay, what went wrong? Just quickly, before we wrap up the episode.
The rain changed a few things, but then I didn't change them. I stuck to my guns on some of it.
Yep.
The confetti being inside changed a little bit of it. People not coming, like stuff like that, and it didn't change. It didn't change any of it. Nothing that I would go back and redo. So.
Okay. Give 3 bits of advice that you learned from your own wedding that you're going to give to brides.
Okay.
To be.
Okay, I've got a good one. Tip number 1 is do as much stuff early as possible.
If you're a year out and you've got a welcome sign, your names aren't going to change.
Do the stuff that is not going to change. Even like I would even recommend doing, if you're going to do name cards and things, get all the people, get everybody, and then if you just have to not use some of them, to have some of the stuff just done is amazing. Like
don't listen to anyone and say you're too keen. Do it.
No, do it. Anything you can do.
Life gets busy. Life gets in the way.
Gifts for bridesmaids, parents. Like if you're going to do all of that, I should have done that way earlier. Like to be fair, I got a few bits but I shouldn't have been writing the letters that late. Like I knew exactly what I thought of my friends. Like, write them now. Like all of those little things. I thought to myself, nothing is there's not really that much to do closer to the wedding because I know weddings.
You were busy, weren't you?
I was so busy, and it was
before Christmas.
Yeah,
and
Christmas. That was such a stupid time to get married. But like, do anything you can do early.
Yep.
Do it straight away. Number 2 is don't tell people stuff.
Yes.
If you
do not tell anyone anything about your wedding if you don't want an opinion.
Yeah. If I'm going to speak to someone about it, it's because I want to know what you're thinking. Otherwise, you don't need to know. Yep. I'm not going to tell you. Like, I didn't tell people where they were sitting. I didn't tell people what time the taxis were leaving.
Table plan dramas.
Yeah, I don't care. You're sat down for 2 hours. Sit down and shut up.
Yep. Savage.
I'm definitely savage for my own wedding because it's my day. Sorry, it's our day. It's my wedding. And final tip is to trust the process. Trust that the things that will happen, that will go wrong,
it will all come together.
It all comes together, and you wouldn't change. Like, I wouldn't go back and change stuff. I wouldn't really. Like, it was all. It all worked out so nicely, and it gave room for the things that naturally happened to be even better than I thought it could be. So trust it.
Trust the process.
Trust
Amazing.
the process.
So it's your favourite time of the podcast.
Yeah, I really want a jingle for this.
So it's the bitches from a bride.
Brian, make us a jingle.
And this week we have got.
I have got one. Let's have a look. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
My partner's groomsman was invited to the wedding, and we didn't know and had never met their partner. We invited her to the evening of the wedding, but they refused to come to the whole thing and haven't spoken to us since.
Shut the front door.
How rude is that?
So it's a groomsman. So it's part of the
like close friend of the groom then.
Okay, it's difficult because
see, I'm trying to be good and remember it from both sides, and imagine if you're the partner of the man. But if you've never met the couple,
yeah, I don't. As I've been invited to weddings before, I've never met the couple, and I've refused to go because I think it's fucking awkward that you've never met the bride or groom on their wedding day.
I do. And
again,
again,
hi, nice to meet you. Congratulations.
But this is why evening guests are great. Evening guests you would go.
Still orcs, mate. You don't want to be on the dance floor with nobody.
No. So we had someone at our wedding that we had never met, and she was brilliant. You wouldn't know that we'd never met her.
Who?
The girl, really nice, like gold, just dancing all night.
She was so fun.
Never met her before,
Loved
but she
was a vibe.
She was a perfect evening guest. You turn up and you bring an energy. Yeah. She did exactly that.
Okay.
Liked it.
So this situation, if it was my groomsman, I'd tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, but then wouldn't he be sad?
Yeah, but also, sorry, if they're your close mate, you'd be like, yeah, no worries, mate.
It's also weird that you haven't met your close mate's partner.
Is she real?
Yeah, but does she exist? Did he buy her? I think it's one of those things that I feel like that friendship wouldn't have lasted much longer anyway.
Sometimes the things that happen at weddings are a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
They save the waste of time.
Yeah. Save the money.
These dead end friendships of people, you watering their grass and them not watering yours back. It's a shame though, because if it's your groomsman, it's just one again unneeded ag. Just if you think it's an issue, fine, address it after the wedding and just be like, hey 100%. Mate,
that was
that was
yeah, but just do it back when they get married. Then don't invite her.
Yeah, but if they know her, it's a bit awkward.
Well, they wouldn't. Well, anyway, I just think rude.
I think if you refuse to go to a wedding and you're close to someone because it doesn't suit you,
rude.
You're a dick.
Yeah, and if the partner could have come later, what's the issue? What's the issue? Like, you'll still see each other. She'll still be there. The bit where you're during the daytime isn't the fun bit anyway, because you've got responsibilities as a groomsman.
Bad responsibilities.
And she would have been. Actually, I wonder if the bride was actually trying to be helpful because she would have been sat alone. She wouldn't have known anyone.
Yeah, because if he was grooming, he might be on top table.
Yeah. Or he's like greeting people, handing out confetti, like doing all the jobs.
I just think people aren't allowed to be entitled to be invited to a wedding. And if you feel that they are, it's not your place to say. And if you do, then maybe address it after, but not whilst it's all going on.
Yeah, not before wedding.
But it might be that he is going to invite her closer to the date if they got to know her, if they invited them further out.
Yeah, that's why didn't they say...
we'll
instead of this, can you like leave that space open for now and let's try and get together and see if you like each other and blah blah blah. That's what should have actually happened, but
now he's throwing his toys out the pram. He's lost his chance.
Yeah, fine, bye.
But anyway,
saves £100 on the food.
Exactly. Legit.
I hope everybody liked that episode. Yeah, it was a good one.
End of episode 2.
Yeah.
So next week mother-in-law.
I would like to just I've already called my mum because there's a story that I want to discuss on this to pre-say, are you okay with this? She's given the green light.
Woohoo! Yeah, we've got some terror stories. So yeah, that's all our topics for next week is mother-in-law. If you've got anything you want to share, drop us a DM as always, _unfiltered bride on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you for listening.
And and you. See you soon. Bye. Love you. Bye.